What is up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Let's Talk Football Married Edition, where your favorite husband and wife duo help you dominate your fucking fantasy football league. We're back with another episode, and we cannot wait to break it all down. But before we dive in, let's hear from my handsome co-host. What's up, Drew? How's your day going so far?
It's going fantastic. Always a great day in the Black household.
It's kind of weird asking you how your day is when you're literally...
We're next to each other. Yeah. It's a little odd, but pretty good. I'm really excited about today's podcast. It's a position that I played growing up, so I'm pretty excited about talking about all the quarterbacks.
Oh, no. I kind of, blacked that out. But no, I'm excited for Drew to bring a little bit of extra aspect to the podcast, knowing that he did legitimately play quarterback in high school and in college for a little while. Did you actually end up playing in college for a little bit, or did you just immediately get hurt? True. We need the lore.
For about a quarter. I played one quarter of college football.
You know what? You play a quarter of college football, you still get to call yourself a quarterback in college,
I guess. Okay? I guess so, yeah. Before injury took me out forever, so it's not like I was that good anyway, so...
Hey, you know what? You did it. We marked that as an accolade. It doesn't matter. No one needs to know the nuance, all right? But yeah, we are going to get into quarterbacks. So we're talking all things quarterbacks. Obviously, we're going to go through our top 15 quarterback rankings for fantasy and the relevance that we have. We'll kind of duel and go off head-to-head on who we have more value over. And then we're also going to start actually by talking just quarterback draft strategy and how you need to approach this position when you're walking into your fantasy football draft. There's three big strategies we're going to talk about, but Drew, go ahead and kind of explain a little bit about why this position requires just a little bit more strategy.
Yeah, it's what we call a onesie position. So for those of you who don't know, if we reference a onesie position, those are positions that you predominantly just start one player at that position each week in fantasy. So your quarterbacks, most leagues are one quarterback league, and then tight ends. Most of the time you have one tight end starting in your lineup. Running backs, receivers, you have multiple starting spots of running backs and receivers, and then, of course, the flex spot, you could throw tight ends in as well, although it's not a very good strategy, so you shouldn't do it. But that's why we call it a onesie position, right? So when we talk about the three different strategies, the first one we're going to talk about is an elite quarterback, right? So you're going to take a quarterback, one of the elite guys, you're going to take them early. Josh Allen, a Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, maybe even Drake Maye this year. When you take a quarterback early, rounds, 2, 3, 4, you don't want to draft another onesie position, i.e. the tight end position, in one of those high draft spots, because you're just going to fall behind with the running backs and the receivers at that point. Yeah. So that's kind of like, the elite quarterback option. The second one is going to be the middle round quarterback option. So that's where you get a lot of value at running back and receiver, maybe even a tight end early. And then you're going to wait to the middle rounds 5, 6, 7, 8 to get a quarterback, somewhere in that range. That's typically, that's where most people are going to fall into, right? And then you've got your late round quarterbacks, which is you punt the position down the road. You're comfortable with somebody way down the line, and you just want to accumulate as much receivers and running backs for depth as possible. And then basically you're going to stream the quarterback position, or you're going to draft two quarterbacks to both have on your roster. But that needs to be a late round. I'm going to be very clear. If you take an elite quarterback, do not draft a second quarterback. Just don't do it. I see it as a mistake too often. Do not draft a second quarterback at all unless you're waiting until really late. So if you take a quarterback round 9 or later and you want a second one, go ahead. That's perfectly fine, because you're going to be streaming that position week to week anyway. But if you have Josh Allen, for God's sakes, do not draft another quarterback, right? It's just dumb. It's a waste of a position. Don't care about the bye week. Doesn't matter. Worry about that later. Pick up a free agent to stream that week. So, Amanda, out of all those strategies, what's your favorite strategy that you like to go with?
Gosh, I usually always tend to be in that middle round quarterback. Well, I'll say that's typically what my defense mechanism always tends to be, is I tend to take a middle round quarterback. But particularly this year, that's my favorite strategy, because I think there's a lot of value in that middle tier position. I will say though, I like to usually have one team that I change up my strategy with. And I say, you know what, let me throw caution to the wind and take a more elite guy early, whether that be, in either of those onesie positions, tight end or quarterback. But my favorite for this year is that middle round quarterback position. I think that and we'll get into it a little bit more, but there is a lot of guys in the middle who are fairly interchangeable, in my opinion, that could give you a lot of value without having to give up value elsewhere. And not that those elite guys don't offer a lot, because they sure as hell do. They'll win you your fucking league. But I think these mid-tier guys are going to be just as valuable this year, in my opinion, as well. So that is my favorite draft strategy for the quarterback position this year anyways.
Very nice.
All right, well, let's go just dive in. Let's dive into our top 15 rankings. I think that'll give us a little bit more context. I think there's a lot when we talk about these three positions. We can elaborate. Remember those three strategies we just talked about, because we'll probably talk about them throughout the episode as well. But we'll get into our top 15 rankings, and we'll start just right at the top. It's a consensus top ranking vote of none other than Mr. Josh Allen himself. He is at the top of draft boards for a reason, because he quite literally is that guy. And I think even last year he ended up having a slightly lower overall passing total on the year, but he was still an elite quarterback. So even though, in 2025, he didn't have like a monster passing season, he still had 3,668 yards and 25 passing touchdowns. But believe it or not, that wasn't even his best year. That's why Josh Allen is valued so high, not only because of his passing ability, but also he's a big dude and he likes to get in the end zone. And we, as fantasy managers, love when he gets into the end zone as well.
Yeah, Josh Allen's number one for a pretty simple reason. One, he's incredible, but also look at over the last, 2025, quarterback one, 2024, quarterback two, 2023, quarterback one, 2022, quarterback two, 21 and 20 were both quarterback one. He's just incredible. Barring injury, which can happen to anybody, he is the most locked in. He will finish as a top 3 quarterback. You will not waste your draft pick. He's valuable. And most importantly, which some people love the strategy of like an elite onesie position, because it's a set it and forget it. Josh Allen's your quarterback, and barring injury, he's your quarterback, and you don't have to think about the position the entire year because he's going to be great. So it's obviously he's the number one and should be consensus number one. And that's just more from the safety aspect of it. And the big difference between him and who we have as consensus number two, which is Lamar Jackson, biggest difference there is Lamar has a little bit bigger injury risk from a history standpoint. He has let you down with seasons where he's been hurt. And then also his numbers have fluctuated. His finishes have fluctuated more. So the only difference, it's not like Lamar can't beat Josh Allen. It's the fact that it's just a little bit safer to go with Josh Allen. But what are your thoughts there with the, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, 1-2?
Yeah, no, I agree with everything you just said. Is Lamar has a little bit more volatile nature to him than Josh Allen does. He's been a little bit more hot and cold, so you have the steady nature of Josh Allen. I do love in that onesie, I set it and forget it moment, because as an indecisive queen myself, sometimes in fantasy football, you're like losing fucking sleep over who to play. These are those positions that you're like, I don't give a shit, Lamar or Josh Allen, they're going in my lineup, period, end of story. I do think it's going to be interesting this year. Lamar Jackson, new head coach. So John Harbaugh gone, Todd Monken gone. Jesse Minter is now the head coach. Declan Doyle is their offensive coordinator. So a little bit new of an offensive scheme in there this year. So I think that could be interesting, and ultimately, hopefully, a very healthy Lamar Jackson this year too. Yeah. Those are the only conversations there. The only thing I'll mention specifically on those elite guys, something that if I'm going to walk in knowing that like ideally I'd love to take and go elite quarterback. So I'd love to go with that first strategy of taking elite quarterback. What I do when I walk into a draft is I have a place where I'm comfortable. I have a range where I'm comfortable taking this player, and I will not budge on that range, and I don't give a shit. So like I'm not taking Josh Allen under any circumstances in the first round. You'll see it'll happen in some of your drafts. You'll see it, and you'll like for a moment be like, oh no, like I will not even if I have an early second round pick, I'm not taking Josh Allen in the early parts of the second round. I'm only going to take him if he happens to fall to the early parts of the third, which we doubt. He's set to go 212.
Yeah, 212 is the ADP right now. I think I'm comfortable. Like if I love Josh Allen and I want to lock in that position, I'm okay. Yeah, middle to back end of the second round, 208, 209, in a 12-team pretty much anywhere, that's where I start to think about it.
Yeah.
Even if where I have gotten in trouble in the past is I've been in leagues where elite quarterbacks have dropped a little bit. So if I'm not typically an elite quarterback guy. However, if he drops into the middle of the third and I happen to be 304, 305,
I think that's a no-brainer.
I have to take him.
Yeah.
I just can't pass him. But I'm probably not going any higher than like the 208, somewhere in that range.
Yep. That's what
I just
I
don't
had
want
in
to
my mind
reach.
too. No, I don't want to reach for him. I also don't want to. There's too many other assets that I'd be passing up on that I'm just not comfortable with.
Yep.
So yeah, same thing with Lamar. Like you have to have a range in mind that you are willing to go to, and then just hold the line. And if you don't get him, then you just pivot to your secondary option. Which my secondary option is always middle tier quarterback. Not a big fucking deal. I'll take it.
Yeah, those are the two. So when you're talking about rankings, right, we're going to kind of tier them out, and that's how you kind of want to batch them together in tiers. So like those are the two, in my opinion, elite quarterbacks that I would take in that tier. If I don't get one of those two quarterbacks, to me, the tier break is between those two and the next set of guys that are coming up. I'm not going to take anybody but those two in the late second or any part of the third round. And personally, for me, I'm probably not even going to take any other quarterback in the fourth round that's not one of those two. I'll wait until late fourth or beyond to get to these second-tier quarterbacks that we have kind of batched together, which we are actually split on. So our consensus third and fourth ranked quarterbacks are Joe Burrow and Drake Maye. We're split on those two. I personally have Joe Burrow as 3. My lovely wife has Drake Maye as the 3rd. So tell me a little bit about why you're wrong in thinking that Drake Maye is the 3rd ranked quarterback over Joe Burrow.
Oh, why I'm wrong. All right. Well, first of all, obviously, Drake Maye being a little bit younger, less injury risk than Joe Burrow, who tends to be unhealthy. Isn't there like some odd year situation where it's supposed to be Joe Burrow's healthy year?
Yeah, it's going to be a healthy year for Joe Burrow.
I don't give a fuck about that. Yeah, I'm still team Drake Maye. Also, simply for the fact of we now have A.J. Brown with Drake Maye. We saw him have an insane year, 4,394 passing yards, 31 touchdowns, 450 rushing yards, 4 rushing touchdowns. That was just the beginning of Drake Maye, in my opinion. He finished with 24.3 fantasy points per game last year. I think that is the safety of what he's going to end up getting this year. He might even supersede that. I think that A.J. Brown, coming off of a very frustrated season with the Eagles, is going to be extremely excited to have a competent quarterback throw him deep balls. And we are going to see a very, very fun year from Drake Maye. So I have him above Joe Burrow simply because I have also been burned by the Joe Burrow injury like 2 years in a row. I've put my chips on Joey B. I just value the health of Drake Maye over the health of Joey B.
That's it. You've been burned, right?
A fucking grudge. I have a grudge.
The 2 points I have on that encounter, right, is which quarterback can throw for 45 touchdowns? Which of those two can throw for 45 touchdowns?
I don't want to talk about it.
It's Joe Burrow.
I plead the 5th, damn it.
yeah, it's Joe Burrow.
Whatever. You don't know that. We haven't seen enough of Drake Maye to know. We don't know.
The only difference here is I would look at your scoring settings. Is it a 4-point passing touchdown or a 6-point passing touchdown league? So look at your scoring settings. Rushing, especially for quarterbacks, but really for all positions, rushing is so much more valuable than passing yards for quarterbacks because in standard settings, every 10 yards that you run for is worth a point, but you have to throw for 25 yards to get a point. So rushing really is the great equalizer, a little bit too far in my opinion. But when you're looking at touchdowns, right, if it's a 4-point passing versus a 6-point passing, 6-point passing touchdowns are worth the same as rushing. If it's a 4-point, then it's not equal. So then rushing is more
Drake
valuable.
Maye then, yes.
So I would probably do Drake Maye over Joe in a 4-point passing.
Because who's more likely to scramble with the football?
Just because of the scrambles, and if Drake Maye runs for 4 touchdowns and Joe Burrow doesn't have any,
and he won't.
Well, that's a few extra points right there. But no, I'm still in it for Joe Burrow, so we'll have to think of a season-long bet for that one because I'm really on Joey B's side there.
Yeah, we'll move on to our next two, but I think that's an interesting point is remembering when you're selecting quarterbacks is not only looking at their ability to score touchdowns, super important, but remembering that based on your scoring potential, those quarterbacks who are going to run the football, which our next two like to do this quite a bit, do have a higher edge in a point scoring place for fantasy. And you're thinking about that, right? Yeah, you want your quarterback to throw touchdowns, but if you're going to get more points from them running the ball in, you want to hedge your bet on a player who's most likely going to do that. And that leads us to our next two, which is, what is this, 5 and 6? Jaden Daniels and Jalen Hurts himself, both who like to use their legs.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm interested for you. We have Jaden at 5. I'm sorry. We have Jaden Daniels at 5 and Jalen Hurts at 6. They're both going around the same time. Why Jaden over Jalen?
Oh, gosh. I think number one, Jaden, obviously, we didn't get to see a ton of Jaden Daniels last year due to some injuries. Also, the Commanders' offense just wasn't anything that fun to watch last year. I think it'll be a good bounce back year, in my opinion. I think that a healthy Jaden Daniels could potentially even challenge a Lamar Allen situation from a fantasy point scoring total because he does like to move with the football so often. So I put him over there. Also, I think everyone's iffy about the Eagles offense from what we saw last year of just, it wasn't great. Jalen Hurts just didn't look good outside of whatever they were doing on offense. We can blame it on the play calling. We can blame it on all of that bullshit. But at the end of the day, Jalen Hurts just didn't look like his elite self we had seen years past. And I just favor Jaden Daniels over Jalen Hurts for that reason. And, I mean, A.J. Brown's gone, so that doesn't help anything. Obviously, they weren't connecting in general, but he's also not there. There have also been some reports of some injuries from Mekhi Lemon, their number one.
Rookie receiver.
Rookie receiver. First round rookie receiver of
Yep.
some injury issues. Devontae Smith, don't get me wrong, I think he can fucking hold down the fort, but not hold down the fort like A.J. Brown could hold down the fort.
Yeah, I was just interested because basically your argument for the upside of Jaden Daniels, all right, he has injury concerns, but your argument against Joe Burrow was the injury concerns, and it was a mirrored opposite of, well, you're high on Drake Maye because he's produced. Now, I agree that I like Jaden Daniels more, and I agree it's because I don't think Jalen Hurts is that good of a quarterback.
No.
I think he's... Look, I think he's above average NFL quarterback, but he is not an elite quarterback. I don't think he throws the ball nearly well enough. I think he's shown that over his career. I think he's a winner, right? He wins on the field, which is fantastic. But there's a reason that he's been replaced everywhere he's been, right? He got replaced at Alabama by Tua when he was there. There's a reason that that this has been happening, right? And I think it's because he misses too many open receivers, and but his running attack is so valuable that I think that's why he's up here. But I wouldn't be surprised if he throws for 21 touchdowns this year. It's just not enough to be an elite guy.
Did they fully outlaw the tush push, or is that still an allowed sequence to be happening?
No, it's still allowed, and I don't think that it will be outlawed anytime soon.
Okay. And I mean, that's what you're looking at with Jalen. They get down on that 1-2 yard line. You're just fucking waiting for Jalen Hurts to get pushed his ass into the end zone.
Yeah, or give the ball to Saquon Barkley because,
they don't do it. Who the fuck knows? But yeah, those are our 5 and 6. I also feel like Jaden Daniels is number one, I could get him later in the draft. So, same with Jalen Hurts. But I feel like Jaden Daniels flies under the radar just a little bit. He's just not a name that gets talked about nearly as often as some of these other guys. I think in some drafts,
you said Jalen Hurts?
No, Jaden Daniels.
Jaden Daniels. It depends on the league, really. The problem is, depending on the platform you play on, is if it shows ADP.
You're right, ADP too high.
He's just going to be there. If it's alphabetical, and then yes, I think he could drop, but not if it's ADP because people will see that he's there.
That's fair. That's fair. All right, moving on to number 7 and 8 in our radar. These are going to be starting to fall into those mid-tier quarterbacks. So I would probably say, gosh, where am I at right now? Yeah, these 4-tier quarterbacks. We have Caleb Williams and Trevor Lawrence as our next up, but we have Dak Prescott and Justin Herbert in this category as well. So these are going to be, when we talked about that mid-tier quarterback strategy, these are the guys we mean. These are I'm not going to take an elite. Obviously, early Josh Allen. Drake Maye down to Jalen Hurts. They're going to fall in rounds? Anywhere between 5 to 6. That's typically when you're going to see those guys going. These mid-tier, we're talking falling in the 7 to 9 range, depending on who we're looking at. So Caleb Williams, Trevor Lawrence, Dak Prescott, Justin Herbert. What is your...
And Jackson Dart. Throw Jackson Dart in there.
Oh, you're going to throw... see, I have him on my tier down. So give me your... Okay, we'll throw him in there. Give me your ratings of Caleb Williams, Trevor Lawrence, Dak, Justin, and Jackson in order of preference for you.
Yeah, I have Caleb, Trevor, Dak, Jackson, and Justin. So that's my order there.
Okay.
Caleb at 7. Good offense, obviously, with the Bears from last year. I think his upside is it's not Josh Allen-esque from his ceiling, because he can't be Josh Allen because he doesn't run the ball enough. However, he makes so many good plays, and if you look at the progression of Josh Allen's career, Josh Allen's accuracy was booty his first year. His rookie year, he was 50% pass completion, something awful. Within a year, from year 1 to year 2 and year 2 to year 3, he made huge jumps, and then that's what got him to the point where he is the elite player that he is, on top of the running, right? So the ceilings are a little bit different, but if Caleb Williams just hits the open guys, right? If he hits that 15-yard in route accurately instead of missing receivers on wide open, because it's weird. He misses wide open guys when he's standing in the pocket, and then he'll be scrambling for his life and bomb it 50 yards downfield and put it right on his guy's chest. It's wild. But if he just cleans the basic stuff up with that offense, I mean, I think the sky's the limit. I think he could be in that top 4 or 5 quarterback range. I think he has that ability, and that's without running the ball a whole lot. Yep. But he runs it enough to give you a floor, which is nice.
Agreed. And second year with Ben Johnson, and we saw that offense elevate with him there as well. And now year 2, consistency matters with these quarterbacks. I think that's going to be another great addition to why Caleb Williams could be great this year. Our orders are pretty much the same other than Jackson Justin. So I had Justin Herbert above Jackson Dart. But we'll go to Trevor Lawrence, and he was a QB4 last year. He really ended up, at first, I think everyone kind of slept on Trevor Lawrence. A lot of people, I think I streamed him at one point, and then he became my weekly starting quarterback in one of my leagues. And it's again, year 2 in this system that he's in. So again, consistency for quarterbacks really does matter. We saw him come out really great last year, and I think he can have another repeat year. And they did start to use him and his big ass self. Like, that man is a fucking giant. And we finally saw them start to use him to get into the end zone and to actually use his body more. And I think that's really hopeful from a fantasy football standpoint as well.
Yeah, like you said, it's year 2 in the Liam Cohen system. And Liam Cohen, he was the OC for the Buccaneers for a year. Baker had an amazing year. Then he comes over, head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars last year. Trevor Lawrence has a great year. I think he's just a great head coach. And Trevor Lawrence's ability with his legs, and he has a stacked receiver room. Maybe it's not the biggest names in the world, but he has very, very good receivers. Parker Washington, Jacoby Myers, BTJ, who, we'll see what he does. Travis Hunter, once he gets back on the field. Parker Washington, I like a lot.
Oh, I love him. But
I also like Jacoby Myers a lot.
Yeah, Jacoby Myers. We forgot about Travis Hunter because he got hurt.
Hunter, yep.
I agree. I kind of forgot about his wide receiver room until I remembered, number 1, Parker Washington won me games last year because, he came out of nowhere. But then to acquire Jacoby Myers, he thrived with the Jags too. No, I agree. It's interesting.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep. So I like them a lot, and then, and also with him, I believe it's a great value. So I have him at 8 in my rankings. His ADP is a 901. So guys that are going behind him, that are going in front of him, Jackson Dart, Justin Herbert, they're both going in the 7th round.
Both of them. Yeah.
I would rather wait 2 rounds and get Trevor Lawrence, who I believe will have a better year than those guys, and you're getting him 2 rounds later. So I think he's one of the steals of the quarterback position, even if you have to take him half a round early, even a round early in the early 8th. I'm perfectly okay with that because I think the value's there.
I agree. And I think he is going to be more of that consistent play where I think you're going to get a little bit more disappointment from someone like a Jackson Dart who is ADP'd higher than Trevor Lawrence right now. But, that's just my opinion.
Yeah.
Moving into Dak Prescott, again, it was a really great draft last year. Dak Prescott did end up ending with 4,552 yards and 30 touchdowns. He averaged 22 fantasy points per game, and we were missing CeeDee Lamb, and CeeDee Lamb also was a little Butterfinger-esque last year, but we've got CeeDee Lamb back. We've got George Pickens back in action. We watched that duo really hold it down for the Cowboys. A lot of that core unit is back this year. Dak Prescott is another great steal of the draft. I think you could get him a little bit later, and I think he's going to have another fantastic. And again, pocket passer. He's not going to run. He's not going to use his legs for you, but he's got elite fucking weapons to get it done for him, and that's going to help you get it done as well.
Yeah, quite possibly the most slept-on quarterback in my life of playing fantasy football in, 15 years of playing fantasy football. He's just constantly underappreciated and undervalued and consistently overachieves compared to where he's drafted. Yeah. And he's also, in my opinion, he's a set-it-and-forget-it quarterback. Maybe a week or two you decide to stream somebody, but he tends to play great against great teams as well. So assuming health, he's been great his entire career outside of the times where he's gotten hurt. But again, that can happen to anybody. And
we didn't talk about this with Joe Burrow, but the Joe Burrow-Dak Prescott conversation also is their defenses are ash trash and their offenses are not ash trash. So it just means more points for you because they're going to have to score because their defense is going to give up a lot of points. And so high-scoring games, we love high-scoring games in fantasy football.
Great quarterbacks and great offenses, especially when they've got bad defenses.
Shitty defenses.
Yep, that's what you want to do. That's what you want to target right there.
Also, pop culture-wise, Dak Prescott called off his wedding, so maybe a little less drama in his life. Who knows? Maybe that helps him thrive in preseason this year. Who knows?
Had no clue he called his wedding off. Had no idea he wasn't already married.
No, he did call his wedding off. All right, next up, Justin Herbert, Herbie himself, and
Speaking of getting married,
God.
him and Madison Beer, I think is her name.
She's a very attractive woman, so I'm very happy for Justin Herbert.
Yeah, he seems to be winning at life.
He really is. And I just think he's like, remember when he cut his hair way back when, like one day, just randomly showed up to practice with
looked
no
like
hair,
he was 13.
And he looked like a dorky pizza delivery boy. Yes. I was like, oh no. And then he pulled Madison Beer and got married to her. So, all right.
Well, it helps when you make, $45 million a year.
Oh, fuck you money. Yeah, it helps a lot for sure.
That helps.
All right. Well, Justin Herbert, Jackson Dart, we are split on this one. I actually have Justin Herbert valued ahead of Jackson Dart. You have Jackson Dart valued above Justin Herbert. I think my only conversation there is the exciting factor of what Mike McDaniels is going to bring to the Chargers offense. So that's why I just have Justin Herbert valued ahead. Also, we only saw Jackson Dart one time for one season last year. Who knows if he can keep up that consistency? Will he continue to be good? Will he get hurt? I don't know, but I like Justin Herbert. They added more to the offensive line as well. They gave him a little bit more protection, so I do value him ahead for the advancements on the O-line, which was sketchy for him last year, and the offensive coordinator of Mike McDaniels coming in as well.
Yeah, I like them both. I have them pretty much dead even. I think that the only difference there is just the rushing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Jackson Dart will run the ball more. And again, we talked earlier, rushing is just so much more valuable than passing yards because, it's a 2.5 to 1 split. So that's it. But honestly, I like both of them. I love Justin Herbert this year. Again, here's the only issue is you're 7, if he drops right now, ADP 7-12, I don't want to take him in the 7th round. If he drops into the 8th, I'm in. If not, I'm going to wait 2 more rounds, and I'm going to get Trevor Lawrence.
T-Law.
So, it's personal preference there, but I like both of them as middle round guys.
Yeah, but that's that strategy we're talking about is like knowing when you're willing to take a guy. And that's why we said these guys are all in that same tier for us. So, like, if I'm looking at the draft board and I'm like, oh, shit, in order for me to get this quarterback, I'd probably have to take him right now when it's only the 7th round. Well, I'll just wait, and I'll sit on one of these other guys and take them later. Unless you're so hot on a player that you want to take them close to their ADP in this middle round, just wait. And look at the draft board. If people already have quarterbacks ahead of you and you're snaking back around, well, you don't have to worry about them typically taking a second quarterback at that range because now they need to scramble to fill out their roster. So look around at the draft board, pause, chill out, and make sure you make an informed decision about that, because oftentimes you can sit on some of these guys a little bit longer as we get deeper into that draft because they've already got that onesie position filled as well.
Yep.
All right, moving on. I think we had a consensus for number 12 of quarterbacks, which was Matthew Stafford, the MVP himself. I mean, he had a baller season last year. Again, I'm not taking him too early. I would take him only in that mid-9th round, essentially, is when I'm looking at it. But a lot of similar weapons for him this year.
Yeah, here's where a bit of the difference comes. You had Matt Stafford. You had Matt Stafford at 12. I had Matt Stafford at 13.
Okay.
Difference was at 12, I had Brock Purdy, and you have Brock Purdy at 17. We'll get to him in a minute.
I didn't put any respect on his name.
No, you didn't, and we'll discuss why you're wrong about that here in just a moment. But Matt Stafford obviously had a great year last year. He's got the ability. He was a reigning MVP. He's old. He's got a bad back. Puka might get suspended for his offseason shenanigans.
I actually did not know that.
Yeah, it's just came out, I think 2 days ago. What didn't he do? There was some anti-Semitic something he said on a stream that he apologized for. He got in trouble for biting a woman.
Oh, Jesus
That's what
Christ.
we do as grown-ass adults. And I think there was a third thing, but he's starting to have some off-field issues to where he might be suspended a game or two. Regardless, look, Matthew Stafford, great. Rams, great. Their defense is really good. They got Myles Garrett. They got Trent McDuffie at corner. So, like, they might not need to score as much. And also, historically, Matt Stafford does not throw 40 touchdowns. So, if Matt Stafford goes, if I look up what he did last year real quick. Let's see. Last year, he had 46 touchdowns and 8 interceptions. He was the quarterback 3. The year before that, quarterback 19 with 20 touchdowns and 8 interceptions. The team was equally as good the last 2 years. Okay. I think that their win total was the same those 2 years, if I remember correctly. The year before that, 24 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. He's just, I don't expect him to throw for 45-plus touchdowns. And if he throws for 30, he's maybe quarterback 9 or 10, maybe. So, and he doesn't run. So I am personally out on Matt Stafford completely, unless he falls to the 14th, 15th round. I don't want to draft him.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think that these guys near the end, like, I would probably I'd probably just wait a little bit longer and take a flyer on a couple lower valued guys instead of risking it there, in my opinion. They're just not intriguing enough to me as quarterbacks. They're there for a reason. They'll probably have a decent year, but I want a little bit of opportunity of a spark, and I don't get that from him.
Yeah, I prefer, so like way down the list, but I would prefer to take Tyler Shuck, the Saints quarterback, young guy, because he's got a coach that
intrigue.
Kellen Moore teams, who's the head coach of the Saints, who calls their plays, they run a lot of plays in a game, more on average than any other team in the NFL. So you got more opportunities to be on the field. More plays means more yards, right? He also runs the ball. So I believe Shuck is going to have a good year this year. I think the Saints are going to be better than what people think. And he's going in the 14th round. Matt Stafford's in the 9th. No, thank you. I'll take the value of Shuck later,
absolutely.
And then I'll take a running back or receiver, or probably not a tight end there, but I'll take more value at my roster in the 9th round there.
Agreed.
And then let's get to Brock Purdy real quick, because the disrespect is wild.
Babyface Brock. I did put some disrespect. Honestly, gosh, Brock Purdy just does not excite me at all. Like, he's falling in that Matt Stafford conversation for me of like, I don't have any interest in him. I think he's going to see a regression year. I think he's going to backtrack from last year when he had like a 7% passing touchdown rate. He had 24.2 fantasy points a game. I just don't think we're going to
24.2 fantasy points a game is a ton.
I know.
He finished as quarterback 24 because he only played 9 games.
Yes, regression year. I think he's going to fall backwards. Ask him to play all season. I don't think we're going to see that production out of him.
All right, let's real quick. We're going to look at The 2025 season.
I also don't even think Mike Evans is going to step foot on the field for the San Francisco 49ers. I don't think he's even going to make it there. So, like, who are we? No, we don't have any. No. All we have is CMC, as long as he stays healthy.
Okay. I don't like it.
I don't like it. Your other light came on.
My other light just popped on real quick.
I saw it was like, oh, his other light. We have some janky lights in Drew's makeshift podcast studio, and one decided
with it now.
The old LED
it's time
lights.
To start. Yeah.
Welcome to the party. All right, what are we on? 14? 13?
We were talking about why you disrespected Brock Purdy.
Yes, why I shit all over Brock Purdy.
But
yes.
yeah, after 12 was Matt Stafford, and then we get into the 13, 14, 15 range, which we've got three guys' names kind of all sandwiched together: Bo Nix, Brock Purdy, and Patrick Mahomes, kind of all sandwiched in there together. I want to know why you have Patrick Mahomes above Brock Purdy.
Gosh, honestly, I have no... Oh. We had to circle back to Brock Purdy, didn't we?
Yeah, I want to know why you have Patrick Mahomes above Brock Purdy.
I think that...
Who's he throwing the ball to?
I don't know.
Rasheed Rice, who has been in jail this offseason and coming off of an injury.
He came off a good season last year when he came back from his suspended season.
And then the ghost of Travis Kelce.
Really? Hey, they just gave him a 3-year deal, didn't they? He's not even just coming back for a year.
No. They gave it. That's contract stuff. Okay. That has nothing to do with him playing for 3 years. That has to do with spreading money out to future years. It's a cap thing. Yeah, he's not. I think this is it. If he plays more than this year, it'd be one more.
Wild.
But like, I've had him on my dynasty fantasy team for a long time. Big Travis Kelce fan. He didn't look very good last year.
No. It wasn't impressive.
He looks old and slow,
yeah,
and that's okay because he is for a tight end, right?
Yes.
But he, just like all the other future Hall of Fame all-time tight ends, like Antonio Gates looked old and slow at the end of his career, right?
Yeah.
Tony Gonzalez looked old and slow at the end of his career. They're not 24 anymore, so like it's expected. But like, no, he doesn't have anybody to throw the ball to.
I know. I'm passing on. You know what though? Like, just that's how I feel about Brock Purdy. Like, I'm passing on Patrick Mahomes. I'm not interested in him either. Honestly, I should have put Bo Nix ahead of Patrick Mahomes because I'm not. These just aren't guys that I'm excited about. If I'm taking a risk, I'd rather take a risk on Bo Nix potentially having more weapons with Waddle there this year as well than Patrick Mahomes coming off of an injury, and he looks fine. But like, who the fuck knows? Brock Purdy just possible. Unknown. Yeah, I know. I think I would, if I'm going to take value this late, or if someone's going to drop, I'd rather drop Bo Nix into my lap than Patrick Mahomes into my lap. I also fucking hate the Kansas City Chiefs. So, like, I really have a hard time drafting anyone from that team, if I'm being biasly honest. Yeah. And when, you know what, half these players do shitty shit to women anyways, but, like, that even makes it harder for me to put them on my team, damn it.
Good luck with Bo Nix. I had him last year. I went through that experience, and it was one of the most frustrating things I've ever done in my life.
Whatever. I like Bo.
It was so, it was just annoying. I think he'll be better this year. I personally can't because of the scars of last year. I'm just out, and I need to see it for a year before I can come back in. And there's just, we all have those players where you can't be hurt again.
You have to block out the year from before, but it is very fucking hard to do that. I carry grudges just a little too deep, okay?
Yeah, you have to love a player so much that you can look past it. And, like, that was Kenneth Walker for me, right? I loved Kenneth Walker so much that I looked past the Seahawks screwing around with Charbonnet for so long. Mm-hmm. I don't have that love for Bo Nix. Yeah. He's also coming off of an injury, so little less mobile maybe. It's just something to think about. I mean, him and Patrick both coming off injuries and both have value with their legs.
I would, full disclosure, take Tyler. Is it Shuck?
Tyler Shuck, yes. Not spelled like it, but yes.
So, fun fact, I am, like, abysmal at pronunciation across the board. Just, like, cannot get words out of my mouth. It's just, like, when my brain sees it, it does something, and I can't do it. But anyways, once I get it down, I'll get it down. But Tyler Shuck, I would take him over all of them. I would take him over Patrick Mahomes, over Bo Nix, over Brock Purdy. I would take the shot on him.
Being clear, she wouldn't draft at the same spot.
No, I'd get him in the booty late round.
Yes, she's not taking Tyler Shuck in the 10th round or 9th round instead of Patrick Mahomes.
14.
She's going to take a receiver or a running back or another position, and then she's going to wait and get Tyler Shuck in the 13th or 14th round. Just to be clear, I don't want somebody taking Tyler Shuck in the 6th round because, you said I'd take Tyler Shuck over Jackson Dart. No. I would take him at his, average draft position, at his value.
I would punt these guys, yes. There's quarterbacks that, like, I always say, like, I'm looking at this saying, like, as we got deeper into there, like we said, like, we have Matthew Stafford valued here, but, like, we're not interested in him. When we say that, it means we want these other guys, and I would, if I can't get them, right, if I can't get my Trevor Lawrence or my Dak Prescott, then, okay, cool, I'm just going to wait and say, fuck it, I'll take a flyer on another guy. And then in the Tyler Shuck conversation, maybe I get him so late I do draft a second quarterback somewhere. Maybe I do take two guys to kind of cover my ass and maybe take someone a little bit safer depending on how the draft shakes out. But a
Tyler Shuck, Kyler Murray combo I think could work out because I think both of them have incredibly high upsides. But neither one is a safe bet. So I think that's really good to take a double, and you get them so late that you're not giving up a high draft capital to get those guys. You're not giving up a T. Higgins in the 3rd round because, you're going to draft, Joe Burrow too high and you're going to draft another. No, just if you're drafting the late guys, this is where we said earlier it's okay to take a double, and you just want upside, right? Mm-hmm. So I think those guys have great upside. I think a few names that
I was going to say, what are a few other quarterbacks that you feel like could, like last year, I think Daniel Jones was one of those people drafted him real late in drafts as high upside. Or he went undrafted. I took him really late because I took a couple shit quarterbacks and he ended up being my starter until he got hurt. So give me a couple names that stand out to you deeper in this list that might go undrafted.
Yeah, some later guys. We already mentioned Tyler Shuck. That's my favorite late round guy right now. Kyler Murray, I had just mentioned him. He's a favorite late round guy I'm looking at. Those are both 14 round or later. I'm a big Jordan Love fan. He's going in the 13th round. I don't think his upside is what those guys is because I don't think the Packers score enough and they run the ball a ton. And then my last name, and it's going to be gross. It's going to be incredibly gross. Malik Willis. So he has the ability with his running. He's got the ability to do what Justin Fields did in 2022 with the Chicago Bears, where he was quarterback 7, and it was all because he was running for his life. And running is just worth so much in fantasy football, especially from quarterbacks, that, look, I'm not taking Malik Willis to be my starting quarterback without having somebody else on my roster. But if I get Tyler Shuck, Kyler Murray, maybe I'll throw Malik Willis on as that second guy. His upside's there. And what happens if he does run for 800 yards this year and 12 touchdowns because he's got nobody to throw the ball to? So that's kind of a really gross one, but maybe for the last pick in your draft, it's worth trying it out. How about you? Who do you think?
Yeah, I don't even know if I would end up drafting this player, if I might just be thinking about him later in the year, or
is it Deshaun Watson? It's Deshaun Watson, isn't it?
It's not fucking hellish Deshaun.
You're a big Browns fan.
He's a scary man. No, it's actually Cam Ward. Cam Ward is a name that is interesting to me this year. Obviously, he struggled since he's entered in, but we saw him slowly start to become relevant last year. New coach. I really like Robert Saleh.
I know you do.
Fine as hell. And I get to watch him on my I don't care. I get to watch him on my main. He gets more airtime. Head coaches get airtime. Him and D'Amico Ryan can take up all my screen time on Sundays, baby. But obviously, new head coach coming in. He started to really get a little bit more comfortable later in the year. And I think Cam Ward's an interesting quarterback who we might see make a sneaky climb up the quarterback ratings this year. There's always a few guys who make their way into quarterback ratings and really raise the ceiling from what we thought they would do. I think he's a name to be on the lookout for. No one that I might even consider putting on my team. Maybe I do as like a very last minute pick, but I think that'd be an interesting, if you're going to shoot your shot on a quarterback, he's a guy I might shoot my shot on.
Yeah, I think he's a decent streaming option. I don't think I'd draft him, but he's somebody I would keep an eye out early in the season, and then maybe as the season progresses, you look for matchups. But yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, those are our top 15 quarterbacks for the fantasy season, with a little extra season in there of who we might think is on the up and coming list. Other than that, obviously, some upcoming episodes to be on the lookout for. We will do positional breakdowns for all of our positions. So we already, obviously, quarterback episode here. We will do running backs, wide receivers, tight ends. We will get into all of the nuance with you guys and break down those positions with our top 15 lists. We're also going to go over some values and busts, some players that we think are incredibly valuable and players that we do not think are worth your time. Obviously, that's our opinions. We're also going to go over some draft strategies and 10 things you need to know before draft day and so much more. So if you're not already, stop what you're doing. Subscribe right now to the YouTube channel. Follow us on our socials so that way you never missed an episode and you can make sure you actually win the league this year. That's all we got for you guys this week, and we will talk to you soon. Bye.
Peace.